Yarr! This week I was sent some glorious orc booty from Kromlech to paint for you as part of their Orktober sale. Let's go ahead and get to it. That's right, mateys. We're gonna be painting up some orcs, but I think keeping this gimmick up for the entire time might be a little tiresome on my throat. So, Chaos Cultist, could you give me my glasses, please, and take that?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
I would hate for you to have to keep some ridiculous gravelly voice going this entire video. That would be really strained and painful in your throat. So good on you for not doing that.
I learned from the best. I've seen that. Now, we have an orc to paint up today, but not just any orc. We're going to be painting up an Orc Corsair Captain, which essentially is a Flash Gitz in the 40k world, but I do like the emphasis on the pirate theme from Kromlech. So we're gonna go a little pirate heavy with this paint job. I really like these models. If you are an orc fan and you've not checked out their bits or their models, I would highly encourage it, and they do have a great Orktober sale going on right now. So maybe head over to their website. I left a link in the video description and check them out. But we have a model to paint, so let's go ahead and get to the hobby desk and get working. After getting the model primed up in white, I was looking at him and I realized I might need to approach this a bit different than I do my normal projects. That big gun that he's lugging around is blocking a lot of his legs, feet, and some of his chest, so I figured I'm going to start with those areas first and then move on to how I normally approach my projects. That being said, let's go ahead and start with his pants. My orcs appreciate a comfy pair of jeans, and that's exactly what we're going to give our orcs today, using Stormfiend, my new favorite go-to color for jeans. Just reminds me of an old pair that I had, and I really loved them. After that, I'm going to take care of the loincloth that's between his legs. I want to use this as a way to bring in some of my original snakebite color scheme, so I'm going with Aggros Dune, which I used a lot on my previous models. I also decided to put this on the cords that are holding his pants together, just to add a little bit more emphasis there. Once we're done with that, we're gonna take care of that looted Blood Angel's librarian jacket that he's wearing, because he's a big boy. There's no way that this came off of a human, so it must have come off a Space Marine, and I think it's going to be coming off of a Blood Angel's captain, or librarian rather. My orc is a captain. Now, this is going to have a two-tone color to it, and the underside is going to be using Baal's red, a lighter red tone, whereas the front is gonna be a darker red, and we'll get to that later. Once we're done with the underside of the coat, we're gonna move on to a dark brown for his boots and his belt. I'm using Garghak Sewer. I've really grown fond of this as an alternative leather color tone, but you can use whatever brown that you want. And then finally, we're going to pull out Basilicanum Gray for the underside of his shoe, as well as his peg leg. It's that time of the video where I interrupt to tell you about my Patreon and to let you know that we just added a Discord server which all tiers get access to. So if you're wanting a way to chat with me, share with me your projects, or just tell me what board games you're playing, definitely make sure to check the link below and check out my Patreon. Now that I have more of the hard to reach areas taken care of, I'm going to attach him to a base and attach that to a handle so that I can go ahead and get this guy painted up. We're gonna start next on his glorious green orc flesh. And for this, I'm going to my new favorite orc recipe for this, Mantis Warrior Green, a single contrast color when previously my orc recipe was 4 different contrast colors. Actually, I think it was a shade and contrast color, but regardless, it took 4 paints and now I can do it in 2 single thin coats, and I absolutely love the effect every time. Once his flesh is painted fully and dried, we're gonna move on to that amazing Blood Angel's librarian jacket that he's looted. Because as I mentioned, the front side is going to be a little bit of a deeper red. And for that, I'm going to go with exactly what I do on my actual Blood Angel Space Marine Force and use Fleshtearer's red. I still love this red tone, especially the natural way the shadow color tone ends up pooling, especially on jackets and cloth materials. It just looks so amazing, and I think it really makes this Orc Captain's coat stand out stunningly. After that, there's one other final recessed area that I want to take care of, and that is his open maw. For this, I'm going to be pulling out Sigvald Burgundy, which is my go-to for the insides of mouths or fleshy wounds. We're going to apply this to that tongue that's sticking out between all those glorious teeth. I'm feeling really good about where my orc is at, but we need to work on some of the details, and I'm gonna start with the leather accessories like his backpack. For this, I'm gonna be pulling back out Aggros Dune. I'm gonna apply this to the entirety of the backpack, including the straps. I'm also going to apply it to the bracer that's on his wrist. Again, this is a color that I've used on my snake bites before, and I really wanted to use it here to make it feel like this orc belongs to that army. We're going to do some other work to help him feel like he belongs to the army as well, but this is a good start. Once we're done with that, we're going to move on to a little bit of Garghak sewer one more time for some of the binding on both the bracer and his backpack, just to add a bit more variety there and help it be a little less uniform. Now, you may have noticed I have been avoiding the captain's hat that is on his head. It is leather. It could have been Aggros Dune, but I wanted to do something unique and a little bit different for it, and so I pulled out my other favorite flesh tone, and that's Darkoath flesh. I just love the sort of slight red tone that this has to it, and considering I feel like GW likes to make it so that the real pirates of the world are the dwarves sometimes, I like to imagine that this orc has stolen this from a space dwarf and he's just put it on his head, and that's why it's a little small. Now, I love the way that this ends up working, and I do need 2 layers of the Darkoath flesh to really make it sing, but once it has that on there, it's looking amazing. From there, I want to paint up all those glorious teeth that are both in his mouth, on his person, and that amazing treasure map that he has latched to his belt at his side. For this, we're going to be using Mortarian Grime, an alternative that I really love for bone material. It still has a little bit of that beigey bone coloring, but it also has a slight hint of green, which I think is perfect for a seafaring orc. I just imagine that it's like a little bit of sea mist, sea salt that's gathered and tinted everything slightly green. It just works perfectly for me. From there, the last thing that we need to do is take care of some of the details on the jacket and some of the other looted items. And for that, I'm going to be using a bit of Iron Jawz yellow. This is my now go-to for a start of a non-metallic gold. We're gonna apply this to everything and then put a little hint of Mortarian Grime right back over top to make it settle and really look a little bit more gold-like. There's not much left to take care of on my orc except for his weapons and the banner. And for that, we're gonna start by base coating all of the metallics using Basilicanum Gray. This is my go-to for a non-metallic look using contrast paint, and I really like the effect. I am going to spend a little bit of time making sure to darken some panels versus others to add a little bit more variety to the layers that actually make up his gun and the banners. But once they're fully dry, we're gonna go ahead and start glazing on some additional color so we can play around with more of what I love to, which is just all of the colors of the rainbow. This is also where we can bring in a little bit more of my snakebite color scheme specifically. But first, we need to pull out Blood Angel's Red and apply this to the gun because I want both the tank and the exhaust vent that is around the gun to be painted this color, indicating that that's where the fuel is and that one of it might be hot. Now, once we have the red on there, we're gonna move on to those snakebite colors like I was talking about. And the first one we're going to use is Militarum Green. This is going to be applied to a lot of the orky icons on both the banner and his gun. Once we're done with that, I'm going to move on to Ultramarine's Blue, which is another of my snakebite colors, and apply that to the rest of the orky icons. Now, I didn't use any of the blue on the gun because I didn't really find a good space for it, so I decided to put a little trim of blue on his hook hand, which I think just works perfectly. This helps balance that color a little bit more around the model, and I just love the effect. The last thing that we need to do is pull back out Iron Jawz Yellow and apply this to the cords that I left unpainted on the gun. I really wanted all of the yellow pieces to be representative of the pieces that he's stolen and looted from various Imperial factions, and so I really wanted to have bits of that mixed into his gun because it's supposed to be this cool amalgamation of things. Now, I love the way this orc is looking. We need to get him based up, and then we'll be ready to show off the final model. And here He is Yarr, my captain, my Corsair. I absolutely love him. I have to applaud Kromlech on just the level of detail they put into their orc models, as well as just how fun they are to paint. I always love painting orcs, it seems. It doesn't matter who they come from, but these ones in particular have been a blast. There's such a huge amount of detail on them, and I just really love their faces and some of the clothing elements. They're just really, really cool to me. I think this guy turned out amazing, and I think he's going to fit perfectly in with my orc army, even though originally I was going for a little bit more of a feral beast snagga vibe, but really, honestly, it doesn't matter. I love this pirate theme. And I have a variety of other models from Kromlech to also be painting up, which you'll probably be seeing on the channel a little bit later this month as we continue to celebrate Orktober. Now, if you are an orc fan, as I said, Kromlech has a variety of both bits and models for you to take advantage of, so I would highly encourage you to head over to their website and check out what they currently have available. They do have a really big Orktober sale happening right now, so please do feel free to check it out. Before I head out, I want to give a huge thank you to Kromlech for sending me the model today to paint, as well as to my patrons for making it so content like this can continue to happen. Without your guys' support, we just wouldn't be doing this, so thank you very, very much. I've been Angela, and I hope you have a wonderful hobby night.